lesson, eh?
Next time.
So what we're going to do is we're going to work in, I'm going to show you one aspect of the massage in isolation. And why I say that is that because in a full massage, we actually might start with the head. In most, probably 80 or 90% of massages that I do, I would start with their head. The reason being is we want to relax them. We want to relax their mind and then get it so that their mind is nice and calm, and so they can go into a more deeper brain wavelength. And then I usually do a bit of assisted belly breathing and get them working. It depends on how anxious or nervous the person is, though. So I'm going to be showing this in little bits and pieces to start with, but one of the things that I'm going to show right now is just, this would be within a massage. Okay, this is one section within a massage, but I don't want to make it too complicated by showing everything at once. So what we're going to show is just how to loosen up the toes and feet, and obviously Rasika is used to receiving massage, and she knows to breathe into her belly, and she's not a particularly anxious or nervous person. If they were particularly anxious or nervous, you would definitely have to start with the head, because as soon as you get into the feet, they can be jumpy and you can't do anything. Right? All right, so what we're going to do is, being almost like a first treatment, even though I have treated Rasika before, it was many years ago. So we're going to start by loosening up all of the bands in the feet. All right, we'll do a little bit on each one, then follow them up, okay? There are two ways of doing it. You could just work on one band, follow that band up, or you could loosen up all of them. And we were talking yesterday about how in a treatment plan, what I usually do is on the first run, I would do one leg. So first treatment, I would do a whole treatment. Second treatment, I might just do one foot and one leg. And in that case, I'd do all the bands to loosen them up. And once I've done, then I'll do the other foot, the other arm, and then the next time I might come around, and by that stage, some of them might be loose, some of them might still be tight, and then I would focus on one band. All right, so this will be more of an example of just doing a bit of everywhere. Okay, one thing we can see here immediately with Rasika's foot is her big toes. Both of them actually are curving this way. They're sort of doing a little bit of a loop, like a hook. Can you see that? They're kind of, they really should be, more like that. And as well as doing that hook that way, they're curving this way. Okay, so they're being pulled this way. All right, they're actually both doing that to a certain extent, and you can see because these ones are going this way while the big toe's going that way. Okay, same here to a certain extent. This one's being pulled out. They're not actually all together. Okay. So the thing that obviously stands out to me then is her big toe, and we would be then focusing on this band and on this inner part of the toe, which are going to lead up to what I call the delta band. And you can feel right here, if you want to have a feel here, you can feel how tight that is. That's pretty tight. Yeah. So that's going to then come up all the way up into her abdomen and cause tension in her abdomen, which may affect her digestive system and all sorts of different things. The next thing that we can see is that the little toe and the second toe to the little toe are quite pushed together as well. There's not a lot of space between them, right? And you can see that this one's actually even making it where this one has to curve around slightly around that little toe, okay? Instead of the little toe being more like this, where it's got a little bit of room between the two toes, it's being pushed. So overall, the whole foot is being pushed a little bit on both sides, okay? And this one, to a certain extent, is relatively similar, maybe not quite as much, all right? So those are the things that I pay attention to a lot. Pay attention to, in particular, the big toe and the little toe, but any toe that looks like it's a bit, you might find in some people that they've got toes, like this, or something, one particular joint is very tight. All of that stuff is very important. That's going to tell you, which band is tighter and where to work to start with. So in this case, I may as well just start with her big toe, seeing that seems to be the worst toe. All right. So when it comes to it, I could, as I say, I could warm her up. I could just work through these bands. But Rasika's pretty used to it, so I'm going to just start with actually warming up near the end of the band. I'm not going to go right into the tip yet. I just want to get a bit of blood flow moving, so I'm going to work on the side of that band there. And I'm also going to then judge how tight is it for her and how does she react to the massage. Yellow light or red light. Okay, and you can hear she's starting to do some good breathing. So this is my primary area. As I said, the toe is being pulled that way, so I automatically know that this band is going to be tight through here, which is what I would call like a sub-band of the delta band. All right, the same with across the top here, which is making it go like that, okay? You can see it's being pulled up and it's being pulled to the side. So that's my two bands that I want to focus on to start with. I could, as I say, come in even and start to work in here. Now, as time goes by and as I teach everybody more, I would tend to use more of a chopstick through here. All right, so I will show that, but I don't want people practicing that as beginners. Okay, so then I can, again, caressing through here, getting some blood flow moving, just letting her become aware of where we're going to work. It's a very, very tight in here. All right, and we can tell that's probably her most sore spot right in there as well. And she's doing very well at handling it, but I don't want to just dig into here because it's going to be held in here, okay? So that, again, if I just dug in here, would cause bad pain. It's probably quite uncomfortable for her. So we also want to feel what's going on in here, just again, get a bit of a diagnosis across this part, okay? And as expected, it feels quite tight, okay? Especially by the time we come down here, it's quite chunky actually down in here. You can see how I'm flicking. Can you see that flick over right there? That's how tight it is. It's like definitely a tight band in there. But I don't want to just work again through here, without having done the very end of it here and the very end of it here, okay? So again, I could come back in and start to work a little bit more like this with my thumb, slow. I can also get a feel of her ability to breathe in. What sort of pressure is she going to allow me to work at without her tightening up against me? So we can consider a 10 to be where she's going to tighten up or pull her foot away. A 10 doesn't mean that a person's gonna, it can be quite uncomfortable, but a person, it should be able to breathe into it or even groan into it, scream into it if necessary, but they're not gonna tighten up against you. All right, so what I'm gonna do now, in terms of loosening her up, is I will use a chopstick just to make it more effective, but as I say, for beginners, I'm gonna get them to start to use just your finger like this and feel in here. Okay, and all right, so you can work it like this. Again, you don't want to work right into the nail bed, so my pressure is actually concentrated right here, which is why a chopstick is so much more effective than a finger, because my finger's being quite big. I'm still going to focus and concentrate it right in there though. So I can do this kind of work with my fingers, okay? But it's harder on my fingers because there's a lot of more wasted energy. And I can even work in here, and you can see I'm starting to just caress the tip of that toe. You can see we're working her near her threshold. There's starting to be some energy move. So even though it's only a small area, don't be surprised when things start to shift from here. These are very powerful points, okay? So we're always paying attention to the micro and the macro. The macro is what's the person going through? How is this affecting her as a person, okay? Her life energy. These are anchor points, so these are very much associated with what's happening inside of her. So you can see energy starting to shift up there. I can pull that toe. It's not moving at all at the moment, still very jammed in this joint. And then I can come in and get into a little bit more detail, but I'm going to keep my pace slow because there's a lot of energy already starting to shift. And I'm coming into here. And again, you can see that slight pulling back of her foot. We know we're pushing her. In fact, I'm going to let her breathe a little bit and just catch up with what I'm doing because energy is moving. So we let her breathe. So don't rush a massage. When you get to be able to do this sort of massage effectively, you can move a lot of energy, and you have to practice what I call patience and perseverance. And that is that we're allowing the breath to process what we're stirring up, okay? Because it's easy then to stir up more than what the breath can handle. But the breath is what I call the regulating factor as to how much can the person actually process, okay? And if you push them too much, they'll either tighten up against you or they'll get very lightheaded and possibly pass out, okay? So we need to allow that breath just to process, and then we stir up more. The breath processes it, we stir up more. Okay, so you can see she started to, her breath is starting to calm down a little bit, and then we can start to think of stirring up some more. But I'm still gonna let her have a few more breaths before I do that. And you can see that Rasika is experienced at receiving, so she knows to breathe into her belly. You can see her belly rising as she breathes. So she's able to do the deep belly breathing. And that again is also very important when it comes to this sort of thing. This is why, as beginners, just practice with your fingers. You can see I haven't even started to use the chopstick yet. But just practice with your fingers. And then as she starts to calm down, we can start to then come in and work it in more precision. Let her process that a little bit. Always important to make sure the therapist is deep breathing throughout the treatment as well.